this, good people. Dysregulated feelings distort your discernment. So you gotta control your feelings. What it do, good people? Listen, welcome back to the 21-day live hash challenge. We on day 17, good people. Listen, if you just joining and you jumping in on day 17, welcome to the community, man. You right on time. Go get caught up on the other 16 days. Each day builds on to the next. And if you've been rocking with me for 17 days, that tells me everything I need to know about you. You ready to hatch. You ready to transform. I told you I was going to gift you my book, and we're going to be hatching all year long, baby, all month long. Transformation is my word for the year, but we started off hatching this month. So yes, sir. Yes, sir. Happy Tuesday to you. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're having a great day. Hope you starting your morning off great. So listen, today's theme, we talking about controlling your feelings, right? This ain't about suppressing your feelings, right? This is about controlling your feelings, right? Awareness, regulation, right? Because like I said, dysregulated feelings distort your discernment, right? So listen, man, I got to set this up. Listen, this is learning how to hear truth, your soul truth, when your feelings are loud as hell, good people, because it's a process to it. Right? That's what we're talking about today. Listen, I wrote this down before we get into it. Don't make a permanent decision based on a temporary feeling. Dysregulation. Listen, regulation before revelation. You can't get new thoughts, new ideas, new creativity unless you regulate. Regulation before revelation. Listen. Before I go into the book, I always got to set it up. Listen, this is what I want you to take away. Never make big decisions in your life from a dysregulated nervous system. I'm going to say that again. Never make big decisions in your life from a dysregulated nervous system, like your boy Isaac did. We talking about that today. Yes, sir. We getting into it. Listen, good people. Like I said, Isaac heard Jacob's voice. I wrote this down. He heard his voice, but trusted how he felt. Watch this. He heard his voice, but trusted how he felt. The brain didn't understand. Okay, watch this. You don't have to be regulated to hear. Regulation, you don't need to be regulated in your nervous system to hear. You need to be regulated to understand what you're hearing. See, Isaac didn't understand what he heard. I put Isaac heard Jacob's voice, but trusted how Jacob felt. And he blessed the wrong son. Dysregulation, feeling. Your feelings are valid, right? Your feelings are legit, right? They real. But guess what? They ain't always true, good people. They ain't always true. And that's what we're talking about today. Listen, feeling is not discernment. I want you to understand that. Just because you feel something don't mean that's a discernment. Discernment takes awareness and regulation, right? To really discern something, you got to be able to understand what you're hearing and what you're feeling. That's discernment. Isaac didn't have discernment. He just felt, right? Body, feeling, survival. Oh, man, look, man, I'm getting ahead of myself. Feeling is not discernment. Dysregulation distorts your discernment. What you're feeling. When you're dysregulated, danger, threat, survival part of your brain is playing. The amygdala. All they know how to do is fight. Who got the rent money? Who got what's up? That's your amygdala. Survival. That's what it's there for. It's to keep you alive, right? When the other parts of your brain are not activated, the hippocampus, the prefrontal cortex, there's no logic, good people. So what do you revert back to? Comfort, safety, what feels comfortable, body sensation, feelings, right? Feelings, right? Because that's how your body learned to survive in the first 7 years with the survival part of your brain, because there's no logic. Oh, man, y'all got to see that. So Isaac was dysregulated and he made a permanent decision on a temporary feeling. Look, awareness must lead before discernment. Like I said, awareness, regulation. All right. Listen, Isaac said this. And then look, man, we're going to get into the book, man, because I really want to ground this for you to understand about the feelings, right? Your feelings are valid, right? Your feelings are real, right? But sometimes they can be distorted, right? Because you're dysregulated. So Isaac said, you sound like Jacob. I want you to catch this. You sound like Jacob, but you feel like Esau. He knew what he heard, but he trusted what he felt. It made a permanent decision from a dysregulated feeling, right? I wrote down, you can hear being dysregulated because dysregulation, right, always trust sensation. Watch this. You can hear being dysregulated, right? But when you're dysregulated, guess what your natural survival instinct is going to convert back to? What you feeling. Because in the first 7 years, that's all it knows. There's no logic in the first 7 years. Your brain is not developing until 25, right? So within those first 7 years, the first part of your brain that develops first is the survival. What does the survival run off? Sensation, feeling, absorption, energy, vibration, because there's no logic. So Isaac, when he's dysregulated in his body, he feels Esau, but he's not trusting what he's hearing because it's distorted. Never make permanent decisions from a dysregulated nervous system. Okay, so listen. Hearing requires awareness. Feeling requires regulation. Discernment requires both. When you really hear, faith come by hearing. He who has an ear, let him hear. When you're really hearing from a regulated nervous system, that requires awareness, right? Hearing requires awareness. Feeling requires regulation, right? Discernment requires both because discernment is understanding what you heard and what you, when you really discern and all three parts of the brain is working in coherence, then the real discernment is not only just hearing, Isaac, you heard Jacob, but understanding what you're hearing and feeling so you can make a sound decision. Oh man, you got to see that. Okay, listen, when the nervous system, this is the soul truth. Look, we're going to read the book and then I'm going to let you go. We out of here, right? We on day 17, baby. We got 4 more days, baby. I told you I was going to help you hatch this month, and we're going to be hatching all year and transforming. So listen, this is the soul truth I want you to hear it before we go into the book. When the nervous system is dysregulated, feelings lie louder than the truth. And when I say truth, I just mean your reality, what's really happening in the moment. So when you hear me say truth, I ain't talking about no right or wrong. I'm talking about reality. What's really happening in the moment. When your nervous system is dysregulated, your feelings, right? That's part of the survival brain, right? Your feelings lie louder than the truth, telling you what's safe and not what is. Oh my God. Your feelings are always telling you what's safe and comfortable, and not necessarily what is, good people, if they're not regulated. Isaac's feelings told him what was safe. You feel like Esau and what was comfortable to the survival part of his brain, right? Because he didn't have discernment. He couldn't understand what he was hearing. So he resorted back to what was safe. And he made a permanent decision on a temporary feeling because he was dysregulated. Oh man, y'all got to see this. Y'all got to put yourself in the text, good people. All right, now look, man, we about to read the book. I'm going to tie it into the neuroscience and the scripture, and then we out of here, good people. Y'all going to have a good day today. Y'all going to join me back tomorrow for day 18. You feel me? Control your feelings, right? In Genesis 27, Jacob comes in to receive the blessing from Isaac, his father. Isaac says to him, you sound like Jacob, but you feel like Esau. Then Isaac proceeds to bless him. Isaac made a permanent decision based on what he felt and not what he heard, what he felt, because what he heard was distorted, because he was dysregulated. Y'all gotta see that, good people. You cannot make sound decisions from a dysregulated nervous system. It's biology. Listen, it's impossible from biology. I mean, from a biology level, it's impossible. That's not how you wire. It's impossible. So listen, do not make a permanent decision based on temporary feelings. Listen to the small, still voice inside of you. Listen, now we about to get into this, right? Now we about to get into this. I want you to really understand this. Do not make a permanent decision on temporary feelings. Listen to that voice. Regulation to understand what you heard. You have to regulate first to understand what you heard, or you'll be just like Isaac and me. Okay, watch this. I'm gonna bring this home. I made a permanent decision, right? When we moved to Dallas, right? I heard that. I made a permanent decision, right? Based on a temporary feeling, because I was dysregulated, right? Dysregulated, right? I couldn't settle myself enough to put that feeling into context, because my hippocampus side was off. That's the context side of the brain to tell the amygdala, sit your ass down. That ain't even happening right now, right? But because I was dysregulated, right, we made a permanent decision to sell our business, to sell our second custom house that we built, to move to Dallas, chasing calling that we thought was calling, but it was really conditioning. Yeah, good people. The Married Life Podcast, episode 11, come out today, calling on conditioning. Yeah, make sure you check that out. But I made a permanent decision based off of temporary feeling, because I was oh man, y'all got to see that. Okay, listen. Genesis 27, right? 27, 22. This is the exact text in the Hebrew. The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau. Watch this. Isaac accurately heard Jacob's voice, right? He heard it, but he couldn't trust it. But he trusted what he felt in the body. Familiar, comfort, survival. Now, y'all got to see this. Y'all got to see. Do not make permanent decisions from a dysregulated nervous system. Listen, and then he released a permanent blessing from a dysregulated state, meaning he did something, and then later was like, damn, man, I shouldn't have done that. Even though it still kind of worked out, Jacob, Esau went on, it still worked out, but he did something and then realized it years later, like, damn. Have you ever did that? I just told you the story about how we did it in Dallas. I was like, damn, man, we shouldn't even move to Dallas. Even though Dallas bought some good things, we learned some things, but that was a move from a dysregulated nervous system, right? I heard it. Don't do it. That's not the move. Because it was distorted, nope, I'm going to do it anyway, because I was dysregulated. I made a permanent decision for me and my family from a dysregulated nervous system, from a temporary. Man, you got to see that. You got to see that. Listen, I'm going to drive this home. You know what voice means in Hebrew? Sound, voice, audible signal, the function, hearing without interpretation. That's why when you're dysregulated, you can hear, but you don't understand what you're hearing. That's why Isaac gave away the blessing. He heard Jacob, but he couldn't put it into context because the other part of his brain wasn't working right. They wasn't online. So listen, the word hands means touch, embodied sensation, right? Somatic. You hear me and Dr. Ford talk about this. Somatic input, what the body senses. Somatic is what the body senses. That's why he said you feel like Esau. His survival mechanism kicked in. Amygdala, survival, programming, prefrontal cortex, hippocampus is not on to tell the amygdala, sit your ass down. That ain't even really happening. That's what the hippocampus do. I know it sounds comical because your amygdala always, who got the rent money? What's up? Listen, your amygdala, that's the part of your brain that if you was in a back alley and you was about to go down, you want that. But guess what? How many times you in the back alley and it's about to go down? How many times something's really chasing you and you really in a dangerous situation? Not many good people. But yeah, you who got the rent money? Who got the That's how we live. We live in the amygdala. We live in this survival part of our brain when we should be activating the other ones so we can regulate, so we can really live from our soul's expression. Our soul. Now, y'all got to see this. Okay, y'all got to see this. Listen, good people. He heard the truth. I'm going to drive this home. I'm almost done. Isaac heard the truth, but he settled for what felt familiar. Body sensation, survival, nervous system, right? Activation. Who got the rent money? So that's going to always connect to the survival part of your brain because the hippocampus is not on to tell it, sit your ass down, boy. Always doing something, always ready to fight. Ain't nobody over here trying to fight you. When you ain't got all three parts of the brain working, who got the rent money? Is always running the show. And when that's running the show, you make permanent decisions based off temporary feelings, good people. Okay, watch this. I'm almost done. Isaac, watch this. He heard the truth, but settled for what felt familiar. And he chose sensation. Sensation, right? He chose sensation over what he knew to be true, what he heard, because he was dysregulated. Isaac received accurate information. He heard Jacob's voice, but lacked the nervous system regulation. So sensation, touch, you feel like Esau, overrode discernment. Listen, there's nothing wrong with you, good people. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. You don't need no more motivation. You don't need no more vision boards. You need regulation. Regulation comes before revelation. You don't need nothing else but to learn to regulate. Turn down the survival part of your brain, activate the other two parts so your hippocampus can really put in context what's really happening in real time. In real time. Not 10 years ago, not what you just thinking about. See, that was Isaac's problem in the moment. He couldn't discern what was happening in real time because the other parts of his brain was offline. So when that happens, survival kicks in. Sensation is what runs your life at that point, what runs the body. So listen, you can hear truth while being dysregulated, but you can't discern truth without regulation. Dysregulation causes the body to override your natural wisdom. I'm going to say that again. You can hear truth while being dysregulated. Isaac heard it. He heard the truth. That was Jacob. I heard the truth before we moved to Dallas. I heard it, but I was dysregulated. So I couldn't understand what I was hearing and feeling, right? Listen, dysregulation activates the amygdala, survival, right? That's the survival part. The amygdala prioritizes sensation or feeling over truth, over reality, over what's really happening, right? The hippocampus loses context under stress. You know why your amygdala prioritizes that? Because the hippocampus is offline, and the hippocampus is what gives it context, lets it know if it's now, past, present, future. So when that's offline, the brain doesn't know the difference between something happening now or you just thinking about it, right? Familiar feelings feel safer than accurate information or signals. When your amygdala is running the show, familiar feelings feel safer than accurate information. You got to see this. Integration shuts down when survival is activated. You know what integration is? Connection, discernment, how you connect what you're hearing and feeling and understanding it, right? You know what survival is? Contraction. You're shrinking yourself. Come on, good people. Listen, you have to regulate or your feelings will run you ragged. You cannot make permanent decisions on a temporary feeling. Listen, hearing is sensory. Discernment is integration. Feelings are unreliable when unregulated. I'm going to say that again. Hearing is sensory. You don't have to be regulated to hear. Discernment, though, is integration. It's where you hear and feel, but you understand what you're hearing and feeling. Integration, right? Calm restores wisdom. There cannot be no wisdom or revelation before regulation. Look, good people, here go the soul truth. And then I'm going to walk you through the questions and we out of here. You can hear truth while being dysregulated, but you can't discern it. Oh my God. He who has an ear, let him hear what the spirit is saying. You can hear truth being dysregulated, but to hear what the spirit is saying, that comes from regulation, good people. You got to be regulated to hear it, or it gets distorted, or you make a permanent decision based on a temporary feeling. Oh, okay, listen. Now we get ready to get into the questions, man. I'm done, right? So listen, the questions. What decisions have you made based on your feelings? I want you to think about this. Well, hold on. Well, first, let me read the questions. What are some of the choices you've made based on feelings, right? That's question one. Question number two, what did you learn from those experiences? And then question number three, what is God saying to you right now that you need to obey? But it don't feel right. So you fight or flight. Turn your hippocampus on so it can tell your fight or flight or survival, sit your ass down and let's go do what we supposed to be doing. And then your prefrontal cortex start organizing. Okay, listen. What decisions have you made based on feelings, right? Which of those decisions were permanent? Like, you got to be honest. Awareness is the word, good people. You ain't being critical of yourself. You ain't been judgment of these answers, right? What did you learn from those experiences, right? Where do you need to pause right now, today, Tuesday, in 2026, January? Where do you need to pause before deciding? Never make a permanent decision on a temporary feeling. What is God, universe, source, or her? Let me say it like this. What is asking you to stretch yourself beyond how you feel? So let me say it like that. What is asking you in your life today to stretch yourself, right? Beyond how you feel. Stretch yourself. The feeling is the sensation that goes with the survival mode. To regulate, right? When you regulate, you get revelation. So what's asking you to stretch but don't feel good? Listen, good people, that's day 17. That's day 17, good people. Listen, don't rush through this. Sit with it. Awareness is the work. Let awareness do the work. Don't be critical. Don't be judgmental, right? Don't be critical. Don't be judgmental of yourself. You gotta let awareness do the work. Awareness is the work, right? Because there can be no regulation, right, without awareness. You can't change what you're unaware of. So listen, freedom. Freedom comes from stillness. Regulation. Sit still. Sit still. And so listen, good people, that's day 17. Join me tomorrow, day 18, as we go deeper, as we keep hatching. It's only what, day 18, 19, 20, 21. We got 4 more days left, good people. Keep showing up. And if you need an immediate next step, click that link in my bio. Grab that Use It or Lose It 6-part audio series plus workbook. It's going to help you regulate, right? Right? So you can start making decisions from a regulated nervous system. And that first decision is to honor your gift because your gift is sacred. Oh, man. Listen, click that link. If you need to go deeper, email me, flthelifecoach@gmail.com. Day challenge. Until tomorrow, good people, have a great day. Dare to be you.